Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to our workshop on sticky products. We are fortunate to be joined by Galen. Galen is a product design expert, former chief product officer, and a Super Team Canada member, as you can see by his beautiful toque. Hey Galen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Galen's also a dear friend and held a workshop for Super Team Canada previously for the Cypherpunk Coliseum Hackathon back in the fall on UX for devs. So if you're a Canadian builder, you should join our Solana Canada Telegram group and ask for access to those resources because his slides and notes are available in our resource library. Now, if you don't know about the Coliseum Frontier competition, it is a startup competition, essentially running from now until May 11th. You submit a 3-minute pitch video, a 3-minute demo video, and then you have the chance to win over $200,000 in prizes, as well as other side tracks that you can find on Super Team Earn. And Canada has our own sidetrack with IG Wealth Management for $10,000. So if you're building in Canada, that's massive. If you're building outside of Canada, there are other super teams with sidetracks you can check out. And the cool thing about this competition is that it's actually like a tryout for the Coliseum Accelerator. So a small number of teams will be accepted into the Coliseum Accelerator and receive up to $250,000 in seed funding on top of the other prizes. So it's a huge opportunity and well worth your time and effort. And with that, I am going to leave the stage and pass this to Galen. So Galen, give me one moment, please.
Hey, what's up, everybody? As Sid mentioned, I'm Galen. I've been working in product for the last 10 years. I've been full-time in the crypto space for the last 4 years. I'm a founder, I'm a designer, I've led many teams, I've kind of seen it all, and I've entered a lot of hackathons and judged some and mentored, so I kind of know what everybody's going through. I'm going to close my window because you can hear dogs barking. So hopefully what I'm trying to show you today is that most people will ship dead products that will not survive the hackathon. They'll be dead in 30 days after the hackathon, and I want to show you how to ship products that people actually use. Get this going. Okay. 2 pitches, 1 product. Pitch A. SideBet uses Solana's sub-second finality and negligible transaction fees to enable trustless peer-to-peer wagering with on-chain escrow and programmatic settlement via Oracle Fed outcome resolution. Great. What the fuck does that product do? Pitch B. You and your friend bet $20 on the Lakers game. They lose. They never pay you. SideBet holds the money and pays out to you automatically. So nobody has to be that asshole chasing their friend for $20. 2 products, 1 product, 2 pitches. What do you think gets the callback after demo day? Pitch A is what most of you will write. Pitch B is the one that gets that follow-up. The difference isn't the writing skill or the blatant use of profanity. The difference is that pitch A starts with the tech forward and pitch B starts with a person and a problem. Almost every framework that I'm going to show you in this presentation is how to go from pitch A to pitch B. Dealing with multiple screens here. Sorry about the slow slide switching. The first problem is the tech first thinking. You picked Solana, then you went looking for a problem that needed Solana. The problem should come first. The chain is an implementation detail. Nobody needs to know what goes on under the hood. It's just, are you solving a problem? If you lead with the chain, you've already lost the audience. Building for other builders. I see this constantly in crypto. You build a tool that only makes sense to somebody who already understands AMMs, MEV, account abstraction, whatever. Your TAM is 4,000 people on crypto Twitter. They all bought the dip and sold the top. In other words, they're fucking broke. Build for people who don't know what these acronyms mean first. I don't know what MEV does. I know a little bit about it only because I know it's important. CowSwap told me it was important because people were using MEV to sandwich attack me and I was losing money. They led with the problem first. I use CowSwap because it protects me against MEV and I don't even understand it. Look no further to Solana itself. Solana, why are they sponsoring the All In podcast? Why are they setting up a storefront on Wall Street? Is it because they're trying to onboard infra nerds? No, they're trying to solve real problems in the real market for real people. These are the people that are, funding this hackathon. This is the chain you are building on. You can see from their own behavior that they are leading problem first. Third one's a subtle one. You'll demo your product. 50 people will sign up. You'll feel great. 3 weeks later, none of them are still using it. The problem is that hackathons produce these false positives. The hackathon energy has people signing up because you're standing in front of them, because they want to be supportive, because the demo was cool. None of that means they actually want the product. So I'm going to show you how to tell the difference. Quick thing on tokens and incentives in general. I know it's not airdrop season. Token incentives are not in the meta right now. Airdrops are not in the meta, but that meta will come back. The important thing to know here is that token incentives aren't necessarily a bad thing. You can look at Jupiter as an example. They did a bunch of huge airdrops. What happened when the tokens stopped flowing or in between airdrops? People kept using the product because at the time it was the best exchange on Solana. Tokens are stress tests. They pull in users, but when the incentives stop, you have to ask yourself, when the incentives stop, do I have a product or do I have a faucet? If you have a faucet, then you have to fix the product. Okay, this jobs to be done framework is probably the most important thing that this whole presentation has. If you take one thing away, if you're working on your laptop and you have this presentation running in your headphones or on the background, stop what you're doing, pay attention for a couple minutes. This is the most useful thing you can take away. Clayton Christensen's classic example. People don't buy a 1/4-inch drill, they buy a 1/4-inch hole. Actually, they buy a picture hung on the wall. Actually, they buy a living room that feels like home. The deeper you go into the job, the more you understand what you're actually selling. I'm going to be using that example that I showed you, the pitch A and pitch B for the product side bet throughout this presentation. It's a fictional product, but it's also a real category. For side bet, the obvious job is settle bets between friends. Well, let's go a little deeper. The real job is trash talking your friends about the game without becoming a thing where you have to chase them for the money after. That's a different product. The product that has group chats built in, the product that sends a celebratory gift when you win, the product that makes you feel okay about losing, the product that lessens the blow of losing because you parted with the money ahead of time. See, the narrow version gives you a payment app. The deep version gives you a social product. Here's the brutal truth about this is the jobs to be done framework, which I'm about to get into, cannot be settled from your own head. The users are the only one who can tell you what jobs need to be done. They live in your user's head, not yours. So you have to actually go out and talk to these users. There's no way around it. If you talk to users, you will make better products. The problem with this is that most founders don't really know how to ask the right questions. So even when they do user interviews, they get bad data, false negatives. False positives are even worse than no data at all, because they convince you that what you're building is useful. And then you spend 3 months building this thing that nobody actually wants. It's a huge time suck, energy, resources, sometimes funder money. It's not about convincing your funders that you know what the user wants. It's about finding out what the user actually wants, and building a product for them. Before we think about which questions to ask, I want you to understand why most users fail. The Rob Fitzpatrick book, if you haven't read it already, a lot of founders have. It's extremely popular in the space. I'm actually shocked that most people haven't read this when I talk to them. It is a 150-page read. It's a 3-hour listen. It's free with your Spotify subscription. You can find the PDF if you just Google the book. There's a free PDF of it online. There's really no excuse not to read this or listen to it in your spare time when you're out for a walk, when you're taking a break from building. It will change your life. The book is basically about even your mom who loves you will lie to you about your business to protect your feelings. Even your mother who is most invested in your success and your happiness will fucking lie to you when you ask her about your business. Strangers at hackathons are even worse. There are 3 rules to keep the conversation honest. We'll go into the specific questions after, but these 3 rules will help you get good data, not lies. Rule number 1, talk about their life, your user's life, or the person in front of you's life, not your idea. The second you describe your product, the conversation becomes about your feelings and your ego, and the person across from you will protect those feelings. Keep your product out of the conversation. If you put it in at all, put it in at the very end. Number 2, ask questions about the past, not the future. Would you use this is worthless because people are absolutely terrible at figuring out or predicting their own behavior. When was the last time you did this thing is evidence because it actually happened. Number 3, ask for commitments, not compliments. A compliment is free and compliments are bad data. If at any time in your user interview you are getting compliments, it means you have gone off track and you need to steer it back to the user, to asking them about what they are doing and asking them for a commitment, their email, a calendar meeting, an intro to a friend. It all costs them something. An intro to a friend is especially good because it's them putting their reputation on the line, and it's a very strong signal that things are going well. Lost you again. Here's a quick reference slide. You probably want to screenshot this. It's just basically good questions and bad questions. The pattern's the same every time. The bad version asks about the future of your idea. The good version asks about past and about behaviors. The last quote pair are the most important. You want to know if your UX is clear. You don't ask. You just put the product in front of somebody, sit on your hands, don't say anything, and just watch them use it. Every time there's a hesitation, that's a bug. Every time they ask, wait, what does this do? That's a bug. You'll learn more in 5 minutes from watching than from an hour of asking. It's uncomfortable, and it should be. The best part about these user interviews is they are brutally, or the user testing, just watching somebody use your app, is that it is brutally honest. It will make you feel awful because the user will actually feel a little stupid when they cannot find out how to use your app, get to the next page, connect their wallet, whatever it is. The user, something interesting happens during these. The user actually starts to kind of apologize usually, like, oh, I can't. They actually feel like it's their problem, but you deep down know that it's your problem. You're making them feel like this. Your app, which is supposed to make people happy and solve their problems, is actually making somebody feel insecure and awkward. It is painful to watch. Don't say anything, just watch it. It will make you change everything. make sure in your hackathon, if you have 3 people, 2 people, whatever, make sure everyone's present for these, because you won't have to advocate for a change. Everybody would feel the same thing. It's brutally effective. You will know what to change. It becomes very obvious. Okay, these are the 3 conversations you need to have. I mean, these are the basic questions you need to have in 3 conversations. Super simple. You don't need a research team. It's very simple. You can have these conversations very easily at a hackathon. If you're, for instance, at the Toronto Vibe station, the Build station, you can just start walking around and have these questions asked super informally. For finding somebody that actually did the thing for side bet, it would be, that's anyone who's bet on a game with their friend the last month. You don't want to ask them, would you use this product? Of course, they'll lie and they'll be nice. Ask them about the last time they did the thing. Past tense, a specific event with a real memory. The magic question, walk me through what happened. You're not asking for opinions, you're asking for a story. Stories contain the friction points, the workarounds, the moments that they almost gave up. That's where your product lives. That's where the problem lives. Question 3 surfaces so many pain points without you having to guess at it. These are simple. In an afternoon, in a coffee shop, you can set these people up, but crypto meetups and hackathons, all of your users are sitting there. You just have to have these conversations casually. You can set up a 15-minute formal interview, or you can just like walk around a meetup and start asking people these questions. I'll give you an example of a bad question and where it leads, and then where a good question can lead. And obviously I made this conversation up, but I've had probably a couple hundred of these conversations, and this is not, this conversation I'm about to show you is completely typical. You'll see when you start doing these that people, once you get them talking, they just start spewing beautiful information. So here's a bad question. Me. Do you like to make bets with friends? The user. I'll just kind of jump back. You'll have to. User. No. I don't like the idea of gambling. I think it's a huge problem in modern society. It's not ethical. I don't believe it. Bam. Okay. Not my user. Time to move on. Next. Good question. Same user with a better question. When was the last time you made a bet with one of your friends? User. Honestly, I don't really believe in betting in general. I think it's a huge fucking problem with society. I did make one bet with my friend the other day, a buddy, that the Leafs wouldn't make the playoffs though. Oh yeah? How did that go? How do you think it went? The Leafs suck. I won $100. Me. Nice. What did you do with the money? Well, he hasn't paid me yet. It wasn't really about the money for me. Remember, like I don't actually like gambling. I just kind of wanted to stick it to him for still believing in the Leafs. Me. Yeah, the Leafs suck, unfortunately. Does your buddy bet on the games a lot? Yeah, actually, all my friends do. I'm in one of their betting groups on WhatsApp. It's fucking ridiculous. These animals will bet on anything. I mostly stay out of it. I don't usually bet. Gambling is not my thing, but I stay in the group chat to shit talk them mostly. Sometimes they rope me into a bet here and there, but mostly it's just for the shit talk. Fabricated conversation, but this happens all the time. What did we just learn? From the same guy. One question ago, he was not my user. He hates gambling, but he does it anyway. He hasn't been paid, probably feels too awkward to ask. That's side bet's entire value proposition. Delivered to me completely unprompted. He bets for not for the money, but to prove to his friends they're wrong and he's right. The real job is social, not financial. He's sitting in a betting group chat right now, which means I actually found an entire pocket of high frequency users that I can ask for an intro to. The bad question produced a rejection. The good question produced a user, a validated pain point, reframing of the product, and a warm intro to more users. Same person, different question. There's a difference between wasting a bunch of time talking to people and spending 5 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes with one person when you're asking them good questions. Okay, I wish somebody showed me this slide 10 years ago. Again, compliments feel like data. They're not. The left column is what kills hackathon projects because teams mistake politeness for product market fit and they keep building that product. The right column is what actually matters. The single best early product sign that you have something is an unprompted return. Did they come back with it, you nudging them? Not, hey, how's the product going? Not a push notification. Just came back on their own. Not because the demo was cool, but because they actually wanted to use the product. This is a one-page tool from Strategizer. They're a super popular, super effective consultancy group. They've put out a lot of great books. You can fill it out in 20 minutes. What it forces you to do is think about the customer's job, jobs to be done, their pains and their gains. And then you want to map your features to those things. The brutal truth is you have to do this normally before you write a line of code. A lot of you have already written code. That's fine. The best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago. The second best time is today. So when you're done this, there's a lot of things you can do. Close your laptop and start talking to real users, because you need to talk to real users before you can fill this out. You cannot fill it out from your head. You have to, you can, and you can make a pretty good hackathon presentation out of it, but nobody will use your product after. You have to use this from the user's head again. Fill out the left column first. I can't stress this enough. If you fill out the right column first, those are features you want to build, and reverse engineering the pains the user supposedly have. It's tech first thinking. It's customer research wearing a facade, a costume. Start on the left. It's so fucking useful for making great products when it's properly done. I would bet $100 on side bet right now with any of you that not a single team has done it. This will put you at a huge advantage compared to other teams, and it will give you a leg up for actually building something that people want to use. Stickiness. Stickiness is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot without defining. Here's one of the only definitions that matters. Did your users come back on their own? Not because you DM'd them. I touched on this earlier. Not because you made a giveaway, but actually on their own. If the answer is no, there's no features that you can build for your app that will fix it. You have a fundamental problem with the value proposition. You need to go back to the jobs to be done framework and do those interviews. Sean Ellis at Dropbox came up with the cleanest test for this. Ask your users one question. How would they feel if they couldn't use the product or not? If 40% of your users say that this would be very disappointing, you have something real. Below that, you don't. It's a simple test. Of course, you probably don't have 30 to 50 users yet. That's fine. The point is to know what you're aiming for. Think about this with your favorite products. If Claude Code stopped tomorrow, I would move to OpenAI's Codex, but I would be very disappointed. If Facebook stopped tomorrow, your boomer parents, their grandparents would be fucking pissed. It's a simple framework, but it's very effective, and it's good to know ahead of time that this is what you're building towards. Okay, before we talk about retention loops, we need to address something that most hackathon teams skip entirely. A retention loop assumes your user has already experienced the value in the first place. If they didn't, there's no loop design that matters. They never come back to enter the loop because they've never entered the loop in the first place. This is what you're aiming for to get them to the loop. This is that aha moment, or the first time they experience the value delivery. It's the specific moment where a user goes from signing up for this thing to oh, I get it. This is actually really useful. Before Facebook figured out that your grandma is a gold mine of free data, they figured out that 7 users who connected, or sorry, 7 users that connected with 7 friends in 10 days almost always stuck around. Slack found out that 2,000 messages sent inside a team was when the team crossed from trying Slack to depending on it. Dropbox was getting one file to sync across 2 devices, because when you've seen that work, you understand what Dropbox is for. Every product has an aha moment. Most founders can't tell you what theirs is. That's a real problem. Because if you don't know what it is, you can't design your onboarding to get users to it. For SideBet, again, that aha moment isn't user sign up. It's that user places a bet. It's not really that easy either. It's the moment a bet settles and the money appears in their account without them having to chase a friend. That's when they feel the thing. Until that happens, SideBet is basically just email money transfer with extra steps. So here's the exercise. Write your aha moment in one specific sentence. Then count the steps between user arrives on your site or on your app to that aha moment. For most Solana projects, it's between 8 and 15, I would even wager, steps. Install wallet, fund wallet, sign transaction, wait for confirmation, so on. Cut as many of those steps as you can to get them to the aha moment as soon as possible. How are we doing so far? I'm going to just check the comments here. All right, mostly just team comments. I'm going to keep pushing through. We can do a little question and answer after. I'm going to explain a lot of how to get to the aha moments and all of that. Okay, Nir Eyal's hook model is a pretty good hook model that's accepted in the tech world. It runs in 4 stages, and each part of the loop makes the user more invested in your product. A trigger is what gets them back. It's usually external at first, a push notification, an email, an event notification, but eventually you want that to become internal or a habit. The user opened your app because they were bored or because the game's about to start, in the case of SideBet. The action is the smallest thing they can do. If your action requires 10 steps and a wallet signature, your loop is broken. Frictionless beats clever every single time. Reward is the part that most hackers and founders underrate. The reward can't be predictable. It has to be variable. Predictable rewards stop working. The reason slot machines work is because you don't know what's coming next. The SideBet reward isn't that you won money. It's the moment finding out your friend's reaction plus the social texture around it. The investment is the genius part. It's the most important part, in my opinion. Every time a user puts something into your product, SideBet, a bet history, a friend connection, a piece of content, they're building switching costs against themselves. By bet number 10, if in the same friend group, leaving SideBet means not only leaving the app, but it means leaving the group, the betting group. It's much harder to convince a whole group to switch an app. For instance, I use Telegram, but I used to use WhatsApp. I mostly use Telegram. I switched from WhatsApp, but I still keep WhatsApp open all day because of all the old groups that still use WhatsApp. There's just too much investment in those groups for me to stop using WhatsApp. And it's near impossible to convince, 2,000 members in a group to all switch to a new Telegram chat. People don't leave Spotify because they have their playlists. Every app kind of has one of these things. Grandparents don't leave Facebook because all of their pictures of their grandchildren live there instead of their photo albums. Yeah. Quick note, I won't dive too much into this, but Eyal studied under BJ Fogg at Stanford, who had this really great model that kind of explains a lot of this. Behavior equals motivation times ability times trigger. All of those things have to be present at the same time. The most important part about this model is not understanding it. It's just that it is the psychology that lives under the hook model, and almost every single time, the thing that fails is this model is the ability. Basically the friction. Motivation is there, the trigger fired, but the action was too hard. So the hardest break in a psychological loop is essentially cognitive load. So you really need to get rid of the friction. You need to get to that, again, to that aha moment as soon as possible. And in blockchain apps, the biggest friction, and blockchain apps have the most friction and the most steps compared to any other of the Web2 apps. So just important to note, reduce friction at all costs. Okay, a note on stickiness and addictiveness. The sticky products that the users thank you in 5 years for solve a real problem and make a user's life better. Online gambling apps like slot machines are exploiting the psychological loopholes for engagement. Facebook famously gets sued, Instagram gets sued, TikTok gets sued all the time. Just because you're not hearing about it doesn't mean that people haven't realized that the psychological loops that these companies use is addictive in a bad way that's damaging to user psychology and mental health. So just a quick note for me, you got to pick a side, figure out what you're trying to do. If you're trying to use stickiness to solve people's problems, or if you're trying to exploit them or rug them, that's on you. Simple kind of framework that works, that was used on web pages like landing pages, actually works really well for apps as well. I suggest everybody read this and look at this and understand why you only have 5 users, but you have 100 users have landed on your site. Just a quick note on this I have somewhere here. Yeah, I mean, it pretty well speaks for itself. The instinct is to add features for the 5 users who made it through. The right move is actually to fix the funnel for the 95 who didn't. Onboarding, especially in crypto, is the product. Spend at least as much time on the onboarding on the first 5 minutes of the user experience as you spend on everything after. It's just, yeah, it's always important to get them to that aha moment. I keep going back to that, I know. 2 tests, both are free, both are takeable in a quick meeting at a coffee shop. I've seen people do this to strangers on the street. I wouldn't recommend doing that. You've got hackathon people all around you. You've got crypto events that you go to. If a stranger can't tell you what your product does when they've only seen it for 5 seconds, for instance, on your landing page, your demo day pitch will fail too. The fix is almost always the headline. Stop being clever, be clear, find a headline that is expressive and shows exactly what your product does. The over-the-shoulder test or the user test is probably the most useful and simple, easy thing to do. It's the best research method that most people don't do in hackathons. Just hand your app to a stranger, tell them nothing, watch them use the thing. The only rule is don't talk. Every time you feel the urge to say, oh, click over there, or no, you just have to go into this menu to connect your wallet first. That's a bug. It will become painfully obvious what's wrong with your product. Just don't guide them through it. You can get a lot of false positives from helping someone through a user test, which will be your urge because it's painful to see people struggling and you want to defend your product and you want to make that person feel better when they're struggling. Don't do it. Just sit there and watch them use it. Demo day aside, as a solo designer who's worked in many big companies, I've done amazing user tests that have showed me the everything that needs to be fixed and how painful some of our onboarding is or a process in our app is. And I've made huge presentations and tried to pitch that to the stakeholders that, okay, this is extremely important. Users are not getting to our moment. They don't know how to use the app. We must change this. Here's all the evidence. Here's all the user interviews I've done. And still weeks later, I've been struggling. I will still struggle to get the most needed changes on that app implemented because there are so many things in the pipeline that the founders think are more important. The workaround for this, I don't do that anymore. I make the founder, the CEO, someone from the dev team, someone from marketing, all sit in quietly on a user test. They sit there, they're not allowed to say anything. They watch the users use their app, they see where it breaks, and founders will absolutely fucking reel when they see someone struggling to use the app because they know it's their problem, not the user's problem. When they sit through this, just like when you sit through this because you are the founder or you are part of the founding team in a hackathon, it changes everything. Those same founders, after watching one user test, are all of a sudden in every stand-up, every day going like, oh, no, we need Galen's, onboarding implementation. This is paramount. All of a sudden, they become your best advocate. So if you want everybody on your team to build something, or if you want to put yourself in those shoes, the best thing to do is watch users use your product. You will be the advocate for change for the whole team, and you will understand immediately how important fixing the user experience is. Okay. Progressive disclosure. In crypto, you have two users. You've got users like me and you who understand the complexity of crypto, and they want that complexity. It matters for them. But you also have people who think wallets are magic. They don't really understand them. They don't really realize why they need to be there. This is important no matter what you're building. You might be thinking, well, I'm building infra for, Solana itself. So I don't have to worry about the two users. It might not be non-crypto native users that you're worried about, but there are always two users. You might have to sell that infra to a CEO who's non-technical. A lot of people might say, well, I'm building for bots. Bots know how to use all the technology. Bots and agents, we're going to be building for these users a lot more coming up. But non-technical people make those bots, and then they tell them what to do. Look at Polymarket as an example of a company that has nailed progressive disclosure. On the surface level, they allow non-crypto users to use real money. If you're in Canada, they make it easier. You can e-transfer your money in. If you're in the States, you can Venmo it in. You can wire it. You can use their Stripe integration. I'm pretty sure it's Stripe. They make it really easy for non-crypto users to place their first bet, to get to that aha moment, that thrill of making the bet. Then they can get them into their loop. They can send them emails. But let's go a little deeper on the Polymarket. It is the progressive disclosure does not stop at, okay, well, you can also, if you're a crypto native, you can also deposit with crypto. Yeah, that's progressive disclosure. That's how I want to deposit money into Polymarket. I don't ever send them an e-transfer. I understand crypto. I understand sending from one wallet to another. That's a good example of crypto disclosure, but it goes even deeper than that. Remember I said if you're building for bots? Well, Polymarket is actually designed for bots and the people who make them of all skill levels. I actually build Polymarket bots with Claude Code. Polymarket is built for bots, and it's built for all the people that build them, including me being non-technical. It's a huge part of their business model. So the progressive disclosure goes way deeper than just documentation. So documentation is good for the technical people who are building their bots, writing their own code. But for me, the non-technical builder who wants to engage with Polymarket's bots, They have a chat function. If you actually copy and paste an error code that your bot is getting, if you paste it into their chat bot on their docs site, the chat bot will actually write the code for you and fix that error message. So they've thought about everything from the technical people, from their infra being very bot friendly, to they have extremely generous API rate limits at 10,000 API calls per 60 seconds. To the person that doesn't know how to build the bot, they've thought about everything, every single user along the way. So if you're building a technical product, it's not okay to say, well, all my users understand how to do this anyway. For side bet, most users want to see bet $20 with Alex on the Leafs, confirm. They want to know the job is done. They don't care about the tech under the hood. The crypto native user might want to see the escrow contract and the Oracle source. Both are valid users. One UI can serve them both. A simple way to do this is by making an advanced mode, but if you look at the Polymarket model, you can see that there are many, many, many progressive disclosures of complexity, and they don't ever switch to an advanced mode. So find a way to do this for all of your users. Okay. Let me pull up my notes real quick here. Okay, your pitch. Most teams waste the first couple minutes of the pitch on complexity and context that nobody needs. Here's what actually works. Open with the person and the pain point, not the global betting market is X billion dollars or whatever. That's a slide that everybody expects you to know, but nobody cares about in the presentation. I'm not saying exclude it, just breeze through it, show that you've done the work, you know what the TAM is, etc., but do not focus on these things. Start with 3 weeks ago, I won a bet with Fib. We bet $20 on one of Trump's tweets on whatever. I don't know. She's not a bad person, but she did forget to pay me. This happens to everybody. Now all of a sudden you have a story, a pain point, and the room is sitting there with you. You've made the situation real. You want to show the product working, not screenshots, not Figma mockups, the real thing, even if it's held together with duct tape. Judges have seen a lot of decks today. There are thousands of presentations going on being judged for the Coliseum Hackathon and hundreds in the Canadian sector. So show them that the demo is actually working. This will grab their attention. Show them that aha moment. The why Solana, why now justification is pretty necessary, I think. Don't say that we use Solana because it's fast or go into something super technical. Find out the real reason you're building on Solana. I would say $20 for a side bet is impossible, an impossible bet on Ethereum because gas would eat up the whole profits. I would say Solana is where communities thrive and social products really work. You can take a great look at, say, Monkey DAO, Solana Monkey Business versus the Bored Ape Yacht Club. The way those communities are run and the way those communities are active today are completely different. The Solana one is much more cohesive. So Solana people naturally understand social products and build communities on their own. So SideBet works better on Solana versus ETH, for instance. The founders slide, this is pretty important. I would spend a little more time on this than you think. A lot of the times, I don't know all the details, but like take the last Coliseum Hackathon winner, Z, for example. I forget what the product is again, but it was extremely technical, novel approach to using Solana in a unique and different way on chain. And there, if you ask me, there was no clear example of, you know, this is going to be a real product that everybody uses. But what it did show is that Z, the founder, was absolutely cracked, and he was going to keep on working on this, and he was going to keep on building no matter what happened with this idea, and keep coming up with unique ways to use the chain. So this is another great opportunity to show people that you're cracked, that you're worth investing in as a founder, because a lot of these, and they publicly say that probably more than they should, but a lot of these YCs and everything always say that they're investing in founders. So don't skip this. Make yourself and your team worth investing in, and present that. All right. How am I doing for time? Oh, I am going on to an hour. Jeez, sorry guys. I will wrap this up really quickly. We're almost at the end here. I like to think of every presentation that I've remembered. I always remembered one thing. You want to decide what this one thing that everyone's going to remember is ahead of time. So pick that one thing. It's hard. There's no real reason around it, but by doing all of those interviews, by the end, you will have a way better idea of what your aha moment is, and build a one-line sentence or a quote or something around that. Make a memorable line, make it a striking visual that proves your point. Make it a number that you've earned, not TAM, not usage, but retention would be a great one. If you do not pick the thing that the judges are supposed to remember, the judges will pick it for you, and it will not be the right thing. A good thing that punches through all the noise, that the judges will remember, will make them forget the time, like me at the end of the presentation, when you realize you've babbled on too long and you have to wrap this up quick, and you start to get a little panicky. They'll forget the thing that was inaccurate because your research was shit and your TAM actually is way smaller than you think it is. Those are the things they'll remember unless you give them something to remember. So pick that thing that you want everybody in the room, including the judges, to remember ahead of time, and emphasize it and make it hit hard. Dramatic pause after it, big bright visual. Make yourself memorable for the right reason, not for the reason that judges will pick out of your presentation. So if you remember anything from this presentation, it's the user always matters first. Instead of building for 1,000 users that you might use your product, do yourself a favor and go out and get those interviews done, and build for that one person that isn't curious but actually really needs your product, needs the thing that you are building. Remember, curiosity is not demand. Compliments and politeness are not signals. Signups are not retention. Likes are not love. Find that one person who actually wants what you're building. Build it for them. Make it so good that they'll tell a friend, and then do it again. That's the whole job. Go ship. Any questions? Thank you for listening to me for an hour if you stuck around.
Hey, it's
Hey.
Hello. So they may have like a slight delay for questions because of the nature of the live, but we did have a couple of comments. One was that great addition to read on the topic, When Coffee and Kale Compete, from Alan Clement.
I haven't read it, but okay. I have heard a lot, and it's been on my reading list forever.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. I'm going to. That's the ass kicking I need to actually read that book. Probably listen to it, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that. Oh. Hello. Thank you so much, Galen. I don't see any questions in the chat. I think you gave everyone a ton of food for thought. And in fact, I don't think that, I know that covered so much ground, and I appreciate it. Like from sticky products to, how do you get there? How do you do the user interviews? Feed it to your Claude, says Ben. And
seriously, feed it to your Claude.
Don't trust your mom. Don't trust your mom. She's gonna probably tell you that the product is great, all the way to some really great highlights for your pitch for Coliseum. This was great content, and you did actually have a full hour to do this, so it wasn't.
Oh, I did. Okay, good.
Oh yeah, you said 30 minutes, but we had an hour in the schedule, so that's perfect.
Yeah. I went off script a little bit with my personal stories, but ultimately, I think with this presentation, people are hoping for a magic pill. And there is a magic pill. It's just not the one you think. It's not the stickiness formula. It's not the hook model. It's that you can't even make the stickiness or the hook model work unless you find out from real people what they actually need. And the conversations I think a lot of founders don't have because it's uncomfortable. Maybe you're not feeling social or whatever. But you really just need to go out and have one of those conversations. It's way more energizing than it is uncomfortable when you're building a product that you actually know has users waiting for it on the other end. There's an energy you feel that is completely different than when you're building an idea that you think is going to be great. And until you talk to real users and you get that data, real people, and you hear their stories and you hear what they actually need, you truly will never feel that. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't feel that amazing energy that you get when you find out that there's a real problem that you can solve.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And one more point I loved was bringing stakeholders into the room to actually watch the product be used. That's really key. So, I mean, if you're later in your journey, you have more team members and you're maybe disagreeing on how to prioritize your product features, that's a pretty good way to start, is to get together and watch people use the product. And that brings me to a reminder, actually, which is that Galen, one of Galen's friends and former colleagues, etc., Toby, will be hosting a workshop next week about product strategy. So follow us for an update on that. Check out the Super Team Canada Luma calendar. You can find that in the Super Team Canada bio, link to our link tree. And that will be very interesting as well. And I think it builds really nicely on this workshop that you did today. So I'm excited to see this curriculum unfolding. And
Toby's presentations are better than mine. They're really good.
I always
do great. Change my presentation after watching Toby's. If you tune into a presentation, do Toby's next week. They're always really great.
Yeah, Toby does also do epic presentations. And there's also a recording of his last presentation on metrics that matter and measuring performance for your app. So again, if you're a Canadian builder, join our Solana Canada Telegram and ask for access to those resources. We will direct you there. And in the meantime, if you have not already, sign up for the Frontier Coliseum competition. That is at Coliseum on X. And you have the opportunity to win up to $250,000 in pre-seed funding, as well as access to the accelerator program, and also an additional $200,000 in prizes across teams. Not to forget the Canada track for Canada builders, an additional $10,000. And I mean, I would say that pretty much wraps it up. But if you are a Canadian builder looking for additional support, check out our pinned tweet for Super Team Canada and fill out that form, because we've got a ton of perks and opportunities as well. Galen, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I want to just add, if anybody is feeling a little hesitant about going out and talking to users, of course, we'll share the slide deck, but feel free to reach out to me in the Telegram group. Happy to help get you over that hump. And if you're going to the Toronto Build Station ever, or the Friday Vibe Stations in the Super Team Canada office, let me know. I'm happy to work with you one-on-one. Just reach out to me on Twitter at TrashPandaMC, or ask Fib, or just DM me in the group chat.
Sounds great. That's a kind offer. Thank you so much, Galen. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Fib.